with Wendy and Steph. And today we have our friend, the fabulous Dorris Burch. We are both very excited to welcome her to the show. And Wendy, I'm going to hand it to you so that you can introduce her properly.
Okay, so here goes. We are so excited, Dorris, or as I like to refer to you as the fabulous. So the fabulous Dorris Burch is a Midwest girl at heart and has loved fashion for as long as she can remember. She always says that I came out of the womb loving fashion and got it honest from my mom. Her ultimate desire is to help women to feel confident in knowing how to be stylish at any age and at all price points, and to be confident in themselves because what you wear affects the way you show up in life. She graduated from Southeast Missouri State University with a bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising, and later from Webster University with a master's of arts in human resources, and also Park University with a master's of public affairs, and is currently working on her doctorate in metaphysical science. She is a thought leader on empowerment, owning your fabulousness for women. So I would love to introduce to you and welcome the fabulous Dorris Burch.
Oh my God.
I feel like there needs to be a round of applause.
Right? Yes.
Well, thank you both for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this conversation.
Us too. And I was practicing ahead of time and I was reading out loud, and I hadn't looked at your form until then. I'm like, metaphysical science doctorate. What? And I'm like leaning into the screen. So, and I told Steph, and so we are both very curious about this. Would you tell us more?
Okay, so I have always loved school, and what I realized I did, hindsight is so much more informative than at the present moments of time. But because I veered off and took a detour path early on in my career, because when you're young, you think that you don't have time. And if you've wasted any time, you think life is over. And so I didn't really follow completely the fashion path, literally basically out of a lot of fears. And so I kept going back to school to just challenge myself. Like I didn't know what else to do, but I can go to school because I like that world. That world works for me. And when I got my second master's, I was like almost going to go to law school. I mean, I was just like, where else can I go? What else can I do? Like, I really don't want to be a lawyer, but it sounded good. And I was like, oh, well, I get a doctorate. I was like the traditional way. I was like, I don't really want that one. I don't want that one. I don't want it for what all the education does for you in that realm of career wise, moving up the ladder and going that way. I was like, if I get a doctorate, and I said this long before I even knew there was a thing, I was like, it has to be a doctorate in who you're being. Like I always knew who you were being was like really powerful, but I didn't know there was anything for that. And then once I started the coaching business and got on Facebook, and you meet all these interesting people from all over the world, somebody was getting their doctorate in metaphysical science. And I was like, there it is. The doctorate in who you get to be. It's like really tapping into your true self. And I'm like, I can dig into that. That is my thing. I love psychology. When I took psychology in undergrad, I love it. I love the psychology of how people think, especially when it comes to clothing that they put on their body, but just in just who they are being. And so I veered off there and still working on it. Just because it was going to be beneficial to me, I thought in the coaching business, for transformation and really being able to understand and read my clients on the surface who they say they are being, and the truth of who they really are being,
Right.
which is always a different variation. And so yeah, so that's how I digged into that.
So when you get your doctorate, will you be Dr. Fabulous?
Girl, you know what? I think I'm going to take that one. I
You should.
love that. And it only made me think of that because you are really the one who has just like planted that, just calling me the fabulous. And I was like, I like that. I mean, secretly, I like that. And I'm like, I just wouldn't feel right being just Dr. Doris. That wouldn't work.
Mm-mm.
But Dr. Fabulous
You are Dr.
works.
Fabulous.
You are Dr. Fabulous.
Oh my God. From the first time I met you, I'm like, I could not remember your first name. All I can remember is Fabulous. She's fabulous. That's who I'm going to call her. Name it, claim it.
Absolutely.
So cool. I love the idea of using that doctorate in how you deal with your clients, that you were saying that, you know, they appear one way and you know that there's a reason they're working with you. There's a reason that you're doing what you're doing with them. So yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. And for me as a holistic esthetician, that idea of embodying who you really are versus who you think you need to be, or you know, who you think you need to look like, it very, very interesting. I'm
Oh,
so intrigued.
yeah. Yeah. I can imagine for you, especially with that last part, because you know, we see it in the world, and it especially happens as women age,
Mm-hmm.
is that who you need, what you need to look like this look. And you know, it can be very intriguing. And I get it because you know, we are aging and grateful to be aging. That means we're here and we're still getting to live
Yes,
this life. But you know,
exactly.
I'm always like age fabulously, age where you are really owning your power.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we see the women who are age not owning their power because they're buying into some concept. And if you know, we were, somebody and I were talking about someone very famous who has done some things too far.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when they start to look like something else, and you're like, dang, did they not see the memo when so and so did that? Like it
Right.
didn't end well
Yeah.
for
The
that
the facelifts where
Mm-hmm.
they look surprised
age.
all the time.
Like start when you start looking like an animal, it's most like you should stop. You
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't understand the ethics of doctors who do
Exactly.
that surgery to take people to animal stage looks. It's
Mhm.
very sad. And so I think I really want to really, especially now, digging back into the fashion piece and looking at it from a different viewpoint, this age that I'm currently am, and all the
Right.
things. I still want to be super duper fabulous in the sense of how I style myself, but I
Mhm.
want to still be a woman who owns her power and wearing my clothes that look really great on me, you know, not that they look just like they're supposed to look on me at my current age and there. You know, I don't like to say there are clothes for women that aren't appropriate because I don't believe that, except I don't think grown women should wear children's clothes. Like girl clothes are not for us.
Right.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
adult women clothes, yes, but I think you need to know your body's type and
Mhm.
style and all that. But when you start
100%.
wearing girl clothes for girls that look cute on girls, I think we got a problem here. Like, it's cute when you're a girl. It's not cute when you're a grown woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I love that.
So fabulous. Question for you.
yeah.
How I would love to hear this. I know little bits and pieces about how you have stepped into owning your power. I've watched you over the years, but would you share with the listeners, the viewers, how did you step into owning your power?
It really has been a long journey. And I will say
Mm,
that because it actually apparently, I believe, started with my mom when
mhm.
I was young. And I am the baby of my family, and I am spoiled to the spoiledness of the spoiledness can be. When I'm and I like that for me.
I like it for you too.
So my mom noticed, believe that she wanted, how, for those of us who are parents and we see our children and we know we want to know they need to fit into society in the sense of being able to communicate well with other people and be strong, confident. And my mom and my aunts came from a very strong family where they believe girls should be confident and powerful in an age where girls were not taught to be
Right.
powerful and confident. My
Mhm.
mom and my aunts were all born in the 1920s.
Yep.
So that means my grandmother had to be born in the early 1900s.
Right.
And I think about that concept that her dad, who was born in the 1800s, my great grandfather, was real strategic in his daughters getting married. Like when even though they were educated, they were teachers. They because back in that day, you either could be a teacher. I don't know if nursing was even a thing when my
Mm.
grandmother came along, but education was. Um, and so my grandmother was educated. Grandfather or any woman had got married, they had to let go of their career because they were not supposed to be working. And I think I don't know for a fact, but I think that must have bothered her because I'm sure she went and did her thing. But my great grandfather was real strategic that he knew his daughters were going to have to give up their work. So they had to be married to men who had really good, stable jobs and careers and
Mhm.
could still provide them lifestyle he provided them.
Mhm.
Um, and to hear the stories and you like at the time when you're young, you're like, but now, as a grown woman, and especially seeing things that are going on politically in the climate that we currently live in with women, it's like, oh, you're supposed to try and take us back to a time none of us who've been in this current world, we don't want to go. Like, I don't want
Mhm.
to know what that like. I
Right.
like this life,
Mhm.
owning my power, having my voice, being opinionated, and all the things in my free will. Like, well, I can't imagine that anyway. My grandmother was real insistent on my mom and my aunt. My mom had two brothers, but my aunts and my mom had to be confident, strong
Mhm.
women. Therefore, my mom was going to have, she had three daughters, and she was going to have strong, confident
Right.
daughters.
Mhm.
And I'm the baby. And so here I am, in my little baby world and my little childhood world doing my thing. And I guess my mom was like, well, we're going to make sure she gets to be confident and strong and own her power and all the things. So she put me in dance school. So I did jazz, tap, ballet. And over the course of time, even those platforms are either with a group of people, like you do dance performances with a group of people, unless you get really good. And in ballet, you can do your own solo performance, toe dancing. And I did do some toe dancing and stuff. But anyway, being on a stage for a recital, even as a child, and you keep that builds confidence because that's the scariest thing to be on a stage in
Mhm.
front of people. And every year after year after year after year, those things started to support me in being confident. I don't know that that's happening, but it is happening. And then she also enrolled me when I think I was about 12. I think I was 12 because came out the womb loving fashion. I always knew I was going to major in fashion, love magazines, all the things. So I went to Barbizon modeling school back in the day. And of course, modeling is another platform to teach you confidence,
Oh.
poise, all those
Right.
things.
Mhm.
And So that had been all integrated as a young girl and just all along the way. So it was forming that. So by the time I young woman, I have this level of self-assuredness that most young women didn't have, but I don't know that I have it to the extent I just being me. I'm just me. Um, and then I go into the corporate space when it's really required to be very confident in
Right.
who you are and all the things. And I just have exude that. The only reason I know now it's a big deal is because when I got out of the corporate space and went into direct sales,
Mhm.
and then with starting my own business, I realized, especially the direct sale business I was a part of, I realized very early on, wow, women who would appear to be confident and self-assured and in their power or not. Like these women don't even like how they look. They wouldn't even look in a mirror at themselves. And me coming from my background was like, wow, you don't look at me. They could not barely raise that mirror and look
Wow.
at themselves without finding something wrong with
Mhm.
something about who they were. And I was like, wow, these you would think these women would be so self-assured and confident and believe in themselves and all the things. And I started to realize that I was possessed with something very different. But because it was ingrained in me
Mhm.
as a young child and kept going, it just got, it's something just gets ingrained. It's like brushing your teeth. It's just who you are. So the confidence and the self-assuredness and all the things on top of love and fashion is just why you see what you see and get what you.
Yeah,
Cool.
100%. Um,
Hmm.
Steph, did you see at Celebration last year, did you see Doris on stage?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That speaking of you being on stage, um my takeaway, and I still use this to this day, you said something on stage and I was like, oh damn, that's powerful, that's good. You were talking, you'll have to refresh my memory, but you were talking about something and you were like, nope, I'm not available for this. And I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm using it, and I have.
Hmm.
So fabulous. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how someone can pick that up and own it and set boundaries and be strong and be confident?
Yeah, so they're not available for it. You have to decide your non-negotiables for yourself. Like, what is a non-negotiable? For me, I set this non-negotiable early in my 20s. I want and like being a certain size so I can wear a certain size compared clothing. Like, that's my non-negotiable. I do not want to go up another size unless I'm doing it on purpose for a fashion moment, but not because my body has dictated I'm going to another size because I didn't take care of my body. And
Mm,
it is my non negotiable, and it is a strong non negotiable.
right.
So, to my surprise, oh, COVID, pandemic, all are just getting into some kind of fog of life. The unwanted weight came and sort of in denial about it. And so I now understand because, before I didn't understand how people could be in denial weight gain. Get it? I understand it, but it's my non-negotiable.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this doesn't work for me. I'm not available for this. When I got on the scale finally to look at the number, and people try to say, oh, the number doesn't matter. Yeah. The number matters. It matters to me. It matters wholeheartedly to me. That number doesn't work. I was like, so what are we gonna do about it? We're gonna do what we have to do about it. See, I never been athletic in the sense of sports or anything. That's not my thing. But I'm a dancer and I was a model. And I dance is a form of working out and exercise. I didn't know that at the time, but it really does keep your
Yeah.
body in well conditioned and your muscles strong and all the things. Well, okay, I'm gonna have to figure out what I need to do. I don't like the exercise. Like all the exercises up to that point I've never liked because they're not fun. They take too much out of you. I'm like, this is not what I want to do. So I literally just was like, it's non-negotiable. This is we're not available for this number. Have to lose the weight. We had to lose the weight like 25 pounds. 25
Wow.
pounds. Like, how do you gain
Yeah.
pounds? So you start where you can start. And
Yeah.
where I could start, and remember seeing the 7-minute workout woman on Instagram talk about
Good.
7 minutes. She said, 7 minutes is all
Yeah.
you need. You don't need any more. I'm like, you can do 7 minutes, 7 minutes. And I looked her up on YouTube and I started there. And
Mhm.
then from her, popped in my algorithm, the 15-minute walk lady. And I was like walking at home like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I can do those two things. And I swear I was at now. And I stayed there for a year and, changed my eating habits, got my supplements back and all the things, and was very diligent and lost the weight because it was like my birthday, my sixth day was coming. And I was like, that had to be gone. Like when I turned 60,
Mhm.
the weight needed to be gone. Like the day before, like the day, like and it was like, it was a year. It took that long. When I realized the first week and the second week and the first month that it wasn't gone, I was like, oh, okay. So we're operating with some new things here because I wanted it to be gone instantly,
Right.
but it wasn't. But because it's my non-negotiable and I'm not available for the weight, I mean, I'm just not. It made me do something I didn't want to do. And I think when you have a non-negotiable and you tell yourself you're not available for something, regardless of whatever it is, it will put you in a place, a zone, I think, of beingness where you have to say, okay, what are the things I don't want to do? And and this has been my biggest lesson. It's so funny that I got this big lesson during this time to lose 25 pounds was that, oh my gosh, I have probably been implementing this in certain ways, but things were just a little bit easier. The weight was hard. The weight was a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
Body change, a whole dynamics of this body. It's a different body. A postmenopausal menopause body is a different body. And nobody prepares you for that body. Like we're not
Mhm.
taught anything on how to navigate this
Right.
body. Like it's depleted of some stuff and all the things and who you get to be and the how I mean emotional things with our bodies. No one tells us that. Been a
Right.
big
Right.
taboo secret that people don't talk about. I'm starting to hear more women talk about it, but I still don't think they talk about it to the grit, like
Mhm.
the weight gain. I don't see nobody talking about the weight gain unless,
Mhm.
a couple people, unless they're in the fitness and to get you to buy their product. But just as a general woman who's just like, weight with menopause, I don't know anybody who hasn't gained weight with menopause. Maybe somebody is lucky enough not to, but your body shifts.
Mhm.
And, that was hard. That was mentally hard, physically hard, emotionally hard. I didn't like what I saw. And I know I said, I don't know when I said it, but I'm like, I want people to be real clear because, the body image people will try to shame you for wanting your body to look a certain way. And I want to be very clear with
Mhm.
people. No body image issues. I'm very fortunate not to, but I
Right.
do get to choose the body I live in. We all
That's right.
do. And because we want it to look a certain way doesn't mean we don't love ourselves or we have body image issues. Like if you just want the flab, you just don't want it. It's just like it's that simple. Like it's not pretty. I'm sorry. It wasn't pretty on me. Like, it doesn't work for me. So that was like, I mean, and now it's a lifestyle. I literally,
Right.
this is my lifestyle. Like working out is part of my life. Like I want these teeth till the end of time, flossing and brushing,
Yeah.
non-negotiable,
Right.
Mhm.
not available for rotten teeth. I'm just not. And so I'm not, so it's like I'm like, I tell myself when I gotta go work out, this is this is it. This is the life. So we're gonna just love it. And I actually do. I like strength training, believe it or not. It is fabulous. I'm like, this is good. This like it. I'm like, what a new that I actually like yesterday at 4 o'clock to work out because I had to get my workout in. 4 p.m.
Mhm.
Wow.
So it's the not being available for things that you
Exactly.
just choose, and you get to choose what's non-negotiable for you. And
Yeah.
I think all women should have a non-negotiable about something.
Mhm.
I agree. And Steph, I saw you taking notes.
Oh, just keywords that I want to note
Yeah.
later.
Oh,
Like
gotcha. For the
not
thing.
available for that, I love that phrase. I think everybody grabbed onto that, like, just I'm not available for that. Like, that's so simple, but
Right.
it's a mindset, and
Mhm.
it takes a little grasping onto in order to hold on to it and say, no, I'm not available for that. But it makes it easier to have those boundaries, right? When you have a saying like that, because it's easy
Yeah.
to say, oh, I'm going to make boundaries, and I'm not going to let this happen. And then be like, I just got washed through that boundary, So
Yeah.
it's very interesting how the mind
Yeah.
works too, right?
Yeah, because you'll have setbacks and things
Right.
that come, life happens,
Mhm.
and that non it's like it's just you're like, I'm not available. It's like your mind has locked in on the thing, and it won't let you waver with yourself. If you're sick for a week and you couldn't work out,
Hmm.
or you didn't eat all the things you were supposed to eat for the week or whatever, that it will kick back in and be like, you're not available for XYZ.
Right.
Or if it's money, women in, one of the things learning about working with women who are who like to use the term that they're an entrepreneur or a businesswoman and they make no money in their business.
Right.
Like, when are you going to become not available for that? Like,
Mhm.
there has to be a non-availability to like not run a business where you make no money. Like, that's dumb. Like,
Hmm.
what's going
Mhm.
on that you're too afraid to ask people to pay you? It's
Hmm.
that whole scenario that goes through, where is some kind of money story running about why you shouldn't get paid, but everybody else can get paid, but you don't. You do stuff free, or you won't market yourself or put yourself out there. And the stories are quite interesting. What comes through people, and it's generally not even they created. It's what society has said, or
Mhm.
somebody in their life has put out there,
Right.
about the thing. So, I don't know. I'm just like, for me, that's why it's like you have to be careful. Like, I'm very clear, and I probably know a couple people in a world that we are part of that are body image people, girl. And I'm like, they'll try to come at you if you say, like, nah, you don't. No, you have a body image issues, which is why you talk about it for people like you,
Hmm.
not me.
Yep.
And I don't mind calling you out. That's your issue. It's never been my
Hmm.
issue. I'm good. It's like,
Yep.
but most people not gonna say that. But see, I will. So you can't come at me with those things because I'm gonna point it back to you. It's your thing.
Hmm.
Because
If
you're
I
not
trigger
available for
you,
that.
I'm not available. And if I trigger you, that's your problem. I'm
Yep.
okay with that. And people not okay with triggering people. I'm gonna trigger people. I know I trigger people, and
Hmm.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Well, and I totally get it, because I am stepping into triggering people, because you have to, what's that saying? You have to empty the vessel, right? Before you can fill it up again. And triggering someone is not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of that, oh, okay, getting them to notice so they can begin to empty their vessel and then fill it up again with that mindset shift, with that, what you said, Doris, of, I'm not available. Here's what I'm not available for. Here's what I am available for. And living your life according to that.
Right. Yeah. And I think triggering, you're right, triggering isn't a bad thing if people understand that the trigger is for if you're triggered by anybody, that's something that you need to explore more for yourself, because it's needing you to dig deeper into that so you know why, so you can grow from it and evolve from it.
Right.
So there, it's not that I'm not triggered by some. I'm triggered by a couple people out in the world who are much bigger game that I'm playing in some spaces, and I'm like, oh, okay. But it's always me. I need to show up, do this,
Yep.
blah, blah,
100%.
blah. It's like this game I'm in right now requires massive visibility. I mean, massive visibility. And it is daunting.
Really?
Yes.
What's,
Oh, yes.
I don't want to get
didn't
too.
you? Didn't
Go
I
ahead,
know
Sarah.
everybody loves your Instagram, but didn't you have a hard time when you first started, like, really embracing
Still
doing
having
that?
a hard time. You think I've had this growing, this fashion content creator business is the hardest thing I'm doing. It requires so much visibility. Content creating, constant. I'm just like, and my biggest thing is because I don't even believe, it really just is. I'm a different generation. I didn't grow up in the generation where you're
Just out there.
there. You're
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
constantly putting something out there, saying something. I mean, talking, and I can talk all day long, but to constantly just talk, oh, you'd have no idea how daunting that is for me. I'm just like, oh my God. Like this morning, I'm like yesterday, barely did any content. And this morning, I'm like, okay, well, let me just put what I have every morning for breakfast, and I'm like, I took
That's
a picture real
interesting.
quick. I'm like, I mean, those are the things. I'm like, I have to constantly think.
Yeah.
I'm in this space. Everything is content. Okay. Some days I can be like, done a bunch of stuff, but I didn't video it, content. I'm
Okay.
gotta think to remember to record something.
Right. And meanwhile, you just want to live your life, right?
Exactly.
You just want to experience it.
I'm just like, you're like, when you have to do it all, you have to do it all. It's like, it'd be easier if I, could have be a Kardashian and have somebody filming you all everything
There you
and
go.
create. That's easy. I think they don't have it. That's easy. They live easy. But when you have to be, think, do, oh, in a space where you're not, you show up, but it's that extra showing up. I mean, it just requires a lot. It requires so much.
Right.
And it's just like, I love fashion and I love it all. I love that piece of it. And I know I have a voice in the space for women to understand their personal style. But to do all that, I have to do all of this other thing. So it's the thing you don't want to do. It's that thing that's hard to do, for the thing you want to do. And I think there needs to be a voice because, like I said, there's been no voice for women for menopause and navigating the changes of your body. I mean,
Yeah.
really, talking honestly about the changes, not the surface level BS that you hear people talk. I'm talking about the nitty gritty,
Yeah.
of women being real about what happens during this phase of our body. I even had a friend share with me, you know, she had her annual gynae appointment and the thing just didn't go in like it used to go smoothly. And, she said that hurt. And like, I was laughing because I was like, people don't talk about it's dry. And, it's just like,
Yeah.
there are
Like,
things that are happening. And I think they should talk about it so other women will be
agreed.
prepared. I mean, like we hit this stage and nobody's told us like this, but you can still live a fabulous life and you can still do these things. You just have to do these things to kind of, counteract the things that used to work naturally for us. And so I think the same thing about clothes and women as they get older is
Mhm.
that there's something that's happening. And I noticed this long time ago, even with retailers, that they target women 40 plus 45, definitely when you get 50. Like, you can't be wearing short skirts, or you can't
Oh,
do this, or you can't do that. And who says so?
right.
Whatever teaches on, wear what you want to wear, really, long as it's not children clothes, girl clothes, that's my drawing line. No, because I've seen some grown women wearing who have said they've shopped in the girl department. I'm like, why?
What?
No,
I will
no.
admit that
Don't
on
shop in the girl
occasion,
department. Leave the little
the
girl clothes alone. I'm sorry, that's girl clothes. I don't care if you can wear them.
the
Don't wear
basic
them.
like little girl shoes occasionally I will buy because they fit my foot and they're like half the price, but I don't
Yeah.
buy the like sparkly uh Tinkerbell shoes. I buy like, just plain old sneakers, plain old Doc Martens, something like,
Right, right. But yeah, but there's this thing. So I'm like, there's never been a group of women. There is now. I mean, this generation of women who are older, um, who have their own sense of style, are a voice for younger women, I think, to know that just when you get older, you don't have to go the frumpy lane.
Right.
That lane does not need to exist. I'm sick of it. And it just makes women look frumpy. And you can wear clothes that don't make you look frumpy. You don't have to, whatever it is, but you don't have to, even if it's jeans and a t-shirt. Jeans t-shirt can look amazing,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
just that there needs to be a voice. I mean, we have to have voices for that. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's why I do this now.
That's fantastic.
Can I talk about Golden Girls for just a moment?
Ah, yes.
So a couple of things. Couple of things. If you remember the series, these women were 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever. They were
Mhm.
well dressed, they were well coiffed, they were right. And they
Mhm.
gave a different image of an older woman. And so,
Yes.
as
Mhm.
you're talking, fabulous, this comes up for me. And in addition to that, I remember an episode where someone was going through the change. No one talks about the change. And Sophia says something about, well, I got my period. No one told me. My period went away. No one told me. I'm just going on and living my life. And that's true. And it sucks because you don't know why some of these things are happening. And you feel like, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? What is
Mhm.
going on? This is totally different. Which, if you don't know these things and you don't have anyone to talk to about these things, you might find yourself feeling frumpy and dumpy and that's not the way it has to be. And I think you've hit something here. You can bring all this out, have this conversation so that women can continue to be fabulous.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's the funny thing. When my period stopped, I kid you not, the doctor tried to prescribe me some medicine to make it come back because they
Why?
said I wasn't old enough for it to stop. Excuse me?
No,
That's insanity.
that's
It was like, I'm like, you want to prescribe me a
Ugh.
medication to make it come back. Like, seriously. Like, let's put this in perspective. You want me to sign up for it coming back?
As if anyone wants that.
Right?
Like,
I mean,
it's awful. I mean, like, I I'm okay with it being gone. It has been with me for a long time.
Mhm.
We've been decades and decades and decades
right.
together.
Yeah.
It's no more left. I mean, it has it is no more in there. It's just gone.
Mm.
It can't come back.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna make it come back. I'm not gonna take
Right.
that don't make any sense. My body must know what it's doing. Like, but I thought,
Exactly.
how many women believe the doctor and get back on something to
Oh,
make it come back because they say you're too young for it to be like it shouldn't be happening now. Well, obviously it is. So we're just going to navigate through this thing this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that crazy thing is like doctors are trying to convince you, that going back to the Golden Girls, oh, that's the look. See, that's the look. That look, they were all impeccably dressed, but
exactly.
it had that look, whatever that look is, that's the look that's what they want us to do. They want us to still wear clothing in that manner and
Slacks
have that
instead of
look.
pants.
Oh, slacks. It just sounds
Slacks. You're
awful.
supposed to wear slacks and loose blouses.
And the thing, oh, you've got to cut your
Exactly.
hair at a certain age.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
And
one I hate.
No.
yeah. So, that's the thing. And I a couple years ago, I was modeled in a fashion show at the mall. And you had to submit photos, so they would know what you look like and stuff. And I submit a photo, I had professional photo I had taken on one of my little style shoots. And I thought, okay, this would be it. Well, the day came and they showed us the outfit we were wearing what store. And I I'm gassed because it's a store. I know the store, but I never had been in the store.
Mm.
Never
Mhm.
in that store. Why had I never been in that store? Because I see the clothes in the window and I'm like, that's not me. I
Yeah.
don't wear those clothes.
Mhm.
They're not talking to me, but they're for the woman. It's a store for the woman the aging, older,
Mhm.
mature woman.
Mhm.
And they based on my age, put me in that. That outfit looked terrible on me as far as I'm concerned. It it was a jumpsuit. You would think, Doris, it's a jumpsuit, but it's a jumpsuit for an older body or something. It's like it was something aging about that jumpsuit. It was like
Mhm. Mhm.
it had an aging appeal. Like it wouldn't have me stand out. It felt horrible on my body. Like my body resisted it. It was like, ugh, like we don't even shop in this store. But it was people decided based on my age that was my store.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, wow, this is how society is trying to do it. It's like, this is
Right.
where you're supposed to shop. Like, you can't shop at these other stores, the stores I actually do shop at that mall. But
Mhm.
because you're not supposed to go in that store, like, how dare you? I do dare. Because I'm
That's
like,
right.
I'm not going to look frumpy. There is something in there. And you find the things that are you. I'm not a hoochie mama type of girl. So of course the hoochie stuff, and I just defame hoochie as, anything that would have extra boobs out and, you know, some butt
Sure.
out or
Oh,
stuff.
that's what it
That's
means.
not
Okay.
me,
Yep.
No, I know.
but it doesn't mean I can't shop in that store. But there are women my
Yeah.
age who like their breasts and they want them out. I
Mhm.
don't do that. But that one won't work for me. But there's something in there that does work for me that
Mhm.
I love. And I'm like,
Right.
it's just that whole thing. And it's just like, but not that store. I can't even tell you the name of the store because I won't even tell you if I could remember it, but I don't remember it. I know it when I walk past it, but I don't know its name because it's not supposed to be in my mind
Right.
ever.
Yeah. It's not part of
And
who you are.
it's not part of who I am. And
You're
I'm
not
like,
available for that.
That's
not
it.
available for that. And even I went and did a try on, and I'll be very transparent on this. I was in the mall. I went to Macy's, and I will say the brand because I'm just not going to be like that. Karl Lagerfeld.
Mm,
I was looking for a T-shirt. A T-shirt. It was a sketch T-shirt that was really cute. I went on and tried on some Karl Lagerfeld clothes, and I did a little thing on it, and they were not. They had that same feel, that
boxy,
same
right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
like I just didn't think that looked good in anything I put on. I was like, nothing. This doesn't look good to me. Like it looks like something's wrong, and I thought, wow. But that was that feeling I got, and I was like, but how many women wear that stuff because that's
Ugh.
who he's marketing. He's not marketing the younger women. He's marketing
Mm-hmm.
to the older woman.
Mm-hmm.
My husband says they're like granimals for older women. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's exactly. Anyway, sorry, I just had to say that.
No, he's right. That's a good analogy.
That's
Granimals
hilarious.
for older women. I'm like, yeah, I'm not available for that at all.
No.
Um, so something else came to my weird little mind. I heard this years ago. Someone said something about, Sex in the City. I'm going to bring that show up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sex in the City, what? That was early 1990s, something like
Yeah.
this. And
Late
now
late
it's
90s, early 2000s, yeah.
30, 35 years, 40 years later. The Sex in the City women are now the same age as Golden Girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got different style trends. They've got a reboot on HBO, and I cannot remember what the name of that was. But looking at these women now, uh, it's it's gorgeous because they're dressed exquisitely. Some of them have gray hair, beautiful. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
have wrinkles, beautiful. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just the next level up from Golden Girls, I feel like.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. And you have the people who think Carrie should not still be wearing the clothes they put her on, put her in and
She
stuff
looks beautiful.
Yeah, all of them.
just because she's older. And I'm like, but that's Carrie. And that's how
Right.
Carrie's supposed to be still looking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your personality doesn't change. Okay, it kind of does when you get older, but
Yeah,
the
it
core
changes,
of who you are.
but you are who you are.
Mhm.
And
Your
that's the difference.
confidence builds.
But see,
That's
that's the
it.
thing I think women lose. Their personality changes in one way, in the growth way, if they've done it, if they've grown properly.
We know what you mean.
And so, but they think because they're this age now that how they used to dress, that was the younger them. Like that version of them doesn't. But see, it's not the same. Like somebody's asked a question like, do you dress? I don't dress any differently than I was younger. I mean, I had great taste when I was younger and great style. I have the same style now. Like, I even have stuff that's still old from years ago.
Mhm.
Um, Nothing's ever changed. I'm like I never got the memo. Like even when I worked in corporate, I didn't get the memo that you were supposed to
Right.
dress boring. Like I was always confused why everybody looked like they looked. And then I'm coming like, my motto was like I walked off the Vogue magazine. If I was getting up, walking up my house, we was gonna be a showstopper.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
just literally I love clothes and they're so powerful and they support you in being confident and selfish. It's like your armor. I
Mm-hmm.
put my armor on, spray my perfume on, and walk out that door, and I'm ready to deal and tackle with the people, and I look good doing it. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't care what happens, they can't talk about my outfit. It looks good, and they're like that. And I remember going to this one job, and I had this boss who couldn't stand me. could not stand me. How can you not stand a 20-something-year-old woman in her own world? I'm not bothering nobody. He
Exactly.
called me a clothes horse, and I didn't know what that was then. It's like, okay. It didn't stop me from being one, whatever it was, because I didn't even look to see what it meant. And I like, think about it.
Mm.
It's almost like things happening now that an old white man cares about what a young woman is doing. Like, really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own. Like, huh? But yes, I was like, yeah, I'm girl, a good outfit can take you and support you
It
through the
really,
day.
Mhm.
it really, really can. So one final thought I have, fabulous, is your mom.
Yeah.
She was a big influence and a big inspiration on you. And I just want to bring that out because you've been through a lot with her.
Mhm.
And one of the audiences that we have are caregivers, right? And so you being your fabulous self, and your mother being an inspiration to you, what words of advice do you have for someone that is taking care specifically of their mom?
Yeah. Well, years ago, even before the dementia set in, and I don't know if it was after having Trey and becoming a mom myself, and it probably had to be after I was a mom to realize just over time and just or even seeing my mom as she was getting older to realize the big aha.
Mm. Mhm.
And it might even been just leaving corporate world. I went to direct sales and then starting my own coaching business. Just all those transitions, all those different career moves I was making, just to step into somehow my dream. And my mom was a registered nurse, and I commend her and all the women that were nurses during the time she went through nursing school because they were the first Black nurses in Kansas City, Missouri. And it wasn't easy for them to become nurses. They made it really hard for them and all the things. And just the perseverance that I now know that she
Mhm.
had to withstand all kinds of mistreatment and terrible things that no human being should have to be put through just because it's the color of their skin. But I was like, she still, you know, had this reverence about herself, this
Mhm.
self assuredness, this confidence, a big personality, um, bossy, dominant, all the things. And she's my mom. And when I dawned on me one particular day that wow, my mom is a woman.
Mm.
Oh my God, who knew? She's
Yeah.
not just my mom, she's
Right.
this woman who has her own things,
Yeah.
her
Mhm.
own dreams, her own struggles, the things she didn't do, the things she did do, all those things. When I dawned on that, when that came to my realization, it made me look at her differently. So during the last few years of her life and really in the role of caregiver, Ye it's my mom, but I also knew that was a woman. That was a woman, that was a girl in this grown body, has lived decades and decades and decades, who is always still that girl, like we're always that girl version of
Mhm.
ourselves. We're the girl.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
the girl with the dreams and the ideals and all these things. If we bring them to life or don't bring them to life, those things mold us and stick with us. And sometimes things we do in our adulthood are because of things we had thought of who we were going to be or what we
Okay.
were going to accomplish when we were that girl. And when I
Mhm.
realized my mom is just this girl, young Phyllis, in grown Phyllis body,
Mhm.
who pursue all the things to do. Most of the things since she got married young and became a young mom, she did the things she had to do. She did the necessary things. So
Mhm.
sometimes, if she says something kind of off, you know the young one talking because she didn't there's some dreams that didn't get fulfilled. It's the biggest thing
Mhm.
I think I learned from her in these last few years, which is why I'm on the fashion path, is the dreams that are left that don't get fulfilled, that are in your heart and soul,
Mhm.
that I think need to happen. So
Yeah.
when you are in those last l- years of your life, and for me that'll be when I'm 120,
120.
that
Okay. So shall it be?
120. 120. Moses lived, he was 120. And the Bible said his eyes were not dim and his strength was strong and all that. So I need to be like a female version of Moses, able
There
to
you go.
climb the mountain
Yeah.
and my eyes not dim and my strength not gone, girl. We still gonna be doing it. Uh, but it made me just be able to look at her differently, care for her differently, and also take in account shifts and changes I make in my own life, health wise,
Mm.
personal journey wise. Because some things, we don't know all the things that can happen to us as we get older. But as a caregiver, you can look at the person you're caregiving and this is not who, it's not
Right.
like that's like your mom. My mom was gone. Like the mom I grew up with, she wasn't there. She was a different version of herself. And it was a hard
Mhm.
version to see, especially with dementia and taking over and then losing her ability, to walk on her own. And now she has to walk with a walker. Um, those things are hard. And you can look and as children, our parents, we can look at them and have all kind of ideas on what they should have done. Like you should have done da 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 da, you know, because we know we're so informed, but really we're not,
Yeah.
because if you look back, like she made, my whole thing was why, also with my not being available for the weight gain, the non-negotiable is that I have to work out. Well, the reason I enjoy it more now is because it's building muscle. And what does muscle keep you doing? Standing up on your 2 feet.
Right.
Mhm.
And you lose muscle as you age.
Mhm.
Um, so that was a big insight because I guess I didn't really dawn on me that we live in a society. My mom believed that this was how getting old was supposed to look like. That was
Yeah.
she did old the way you do old. Like that is
Mhm.
old. Like this was the path.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily if you do certain things
Right.
to prevent that path because there are
Definitely.
now who have, my mom would be 98 this year. There are some 98-year-old women rocking it right now, because
Right.
they took a different path.
Mhm.
And that used to bother me like early on when I see people who were my mom's age and I was like, oh, their mom is still doing things. I wish, like I can't call my mom and have a conversation with her and all those things. And that's hard. That's a hard reality to hit you with, and you have to come to some real deep terms with yourself
Mhm.
to forgive your mom for not being the mom or doing the things you wish she had done so she could be in a different state at this current
Mhm.
age. I think you have to give yourself permission to have those emotions and forgive them and forgive yourself for being mad at them for not being who you want them to be at this stage, because they didn't do what you wanted them to do. They should have done this
Mhm.
so you could have the mom like so and so's mom. Like I want so and so's mom, you gotta do that because it's a lot. This person who was the strong person and one that now you're caring for them. And the thing about
Mhm.
my mom, she didn't really lose her wit. Her voice was strong and powerful. I mean strong and powerful voice. Like, those strong even though like a strong, powerful voice. Very I don't even know how to describe her voice. It was just powerful. That
Mm.
didn't go till I mean, literally probably 2 weeks before her passing, her voice
Same.
got weak.
Yeah.
But other than that, if you didn't know better, like if you didn't know her body and everything had changed, that voice hadn't changed. So it was always shocking that this voice and this thinking was still there and, you know, still opinionated and still all that. It's just was very interesting dynamics. And I had a different role, than my sisters did because they were there all the time. But that last year I was there more and for a long period of time. Um, and I'm the baby, of course. And so it's just the whole dynamics of it all. And it's just coming to terms. And I remember thinking when I had to leave, because my son was graduating from college, and so we were going to have to leave to go there. And I knew that was the last time I was going to see my mom. I
Mm.
knew it. There was something
Mm-hmm.
in her eyes
Mm.
that changed.
Right.
Um, all of her mm, physical motions were no longer done. Like she couldn't, like her birthday, she turned 97. The On her last day being 96, she could lift up the one arm she could still lift up because her other arm use had stopped probably that October of 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 that year before. And then she had her left hand was still, but on her 96th last day, that was
Mm.
the last day she could pick up her left arm. And
Yeah.
on her birthday, she couldn't move her arms at all. Like she was literally just there, like laying in the bed, couldn't move any body parts. Like, oh. And I paid attention to that. And then it was just seeing her eyes, something just went. Like I don't, she wasn't really talking. And it was just something in her eyes that just told me she was
Yeah.
getting
I
ready
knew.
to leave, like,
Mm-hmm.
and, and my son graduated and, that week before that next week she passed away, like before we could even come back up
Mm-hmm.
there, so he could see her one last time. She passed away, and I was like, I knew it. I knew she was going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. You can, your
You can
intuition,
tell.
your daughterly heart knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well,
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm gonna say this too. I knew it. I saw it all. I had two
right.
other siblings, and my oldest sister was in total denial the whole time during
Yeah.
this
Mm-hmm.
all. So it's very intriguing to have a sibling who sees the same thing you see, but says it's not
Mhm.
true. Like
Yeah.
Right.
she said, Mom, she like there was no such thing as dementia. Like that wasn't like
Family
you're like,
dynamics are interesting, especially when it's in the caregiving realm, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. Um, the fabulous Doris Burch, thank you so much for being with us today. We could probably talk for hours. I think we're going to need to have you back on again, and just continue this conversation. There's so much here. But Steph and I we thank you so much. And we're so honored that
Absolutely.
you said yes to being a guest on Smiling Souls. And thank you, everybody. And we will see you next time on Smiling Souls.
Thank you. Have a great day.